What's up, Magic players? It's Doyle, your host here on DoylePrimeMTG, where I bring you the latest and greatest in Magic content that I can while still trying to have a life. This week, we better be quick on the draw because this town ain't big enough for two spell slingers. Vadrik Astral Archmage has crazy potential for some combo casting.
Forests, islands, mountains, plains, and swamps. The multiverse is all that is, or ever was, or ever will be. There is a tingling in the spine, a faint sensation, as if a distant memory, of walking from plane to plane. Our lives have been forever changed, as if by magic. Embark with me on this journey to eternity. Experience the true power of mind over matter, as we ignite your spark and traverse into the magic multiverse.
Of course, they couldn't make this any more confusing, already having a Vadrik character that has absolutely nothing to do with Vadric. Way to go, R&D. Anyways, Vadrik Astral Archmage cost 1 red-blue for a 1/2 legendary human wizard, with, if it's neither day or night, it becomes day as Vadrik Astral Archmage enters the battlefield. And instant and sorcery spells cost X less to cast, where X is Vadric power. And whenever day becomes night, or night becomes day, put a 1/1 counter on Vadrik. So this is reminiscent of Mizzix of the Ismagnus, where our instant and sorcery spells cost X less to cast. In this case, we're limited a bit more by having to regrow Vadric's power each time that he gets removed, instead of Mizzix's counters. Though this also gives us the opportunity to sneak a win out of seemingly nowhere. We will ramp up using some rocks, though we have some of our major ramps sitting in the command zone, so this section will be a bit tight. Sol Ring and Arcane Signet will yet again appear as staples in this crazy format. Izzet Signet and Talisman of Creativity will each help ramp and fix our colors for only 2 mana. Felwar Stone and Thought Vestal will each ramp us up for 2 mana as well, with some extra abilities to boot. The Celestus will ramp us for 3 mana, but it also has the ability to help grow our commander by switching between day and night. Primal Amulet and Goblin Electromancer will each make our instant and sorcery spells cost less to cast, and the Amulet can even copy our spells as it transforms into Primal Wellspring. Frantic Search is not card advantage, though it does allow us to untap more lands than it will utilize for casting it, letting us create some mana ramp while we loot twice. Stormkiln Artist will produce treasures as we cast our instant and sorcery spells, allowing us to stockpile up mana for an explosive turn. And of course, Myriad Landscape shall help us ramp without taking away from our spell slots. We also have some impulsive ramp with Mana Geyser, producing a much more explosive rate in this deck. Drawing cards will be quite easy in this build. We will include some X-based draw spells with Mind Spring, Finale of Revelation, Pull from Tomorrow, Blue Sun Zenith, and Stroke of Genius. Each of these will have the power to draw us a bunch of cards, while also acting as a secondary win con if we get Vadric power high enough. Archmage of Emeritus and Lier, Disciple of the Drowned, will each draw us a card when we cast an instant or sorcery spell, albeit in different ways. Archmage will straight up draw us a new card, while Lier will give all of our instant sorceries flashback, allowing us to cast them again from our graveyard, basically giving us an extra card. Jeska's Will, Wheel of Misfortune, and Windfall will each allow us to refill our hand for an excellent mana value. Tezzeret's Gambit, Factor Fiction, and Recurring Insight will also allow us to draw up some extra cards while generating a large amount of extra value. The Gambit can even be cast for free if Vadrik has a power 3 or higher. Of course, with all this cost reduction, where would we be without Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time? These cards can reduce their own costs, but more importantly, might not have to. Unexpected Windfall is also not card advantage, but it is card selection, and it can even generate treasures to refund us for the mana that we spent on the spell. Mystic Speculation and Mizzix Mastery will each let us use cards from our graveyard, generating us card advantage in the process. We even have some land MDFCs that can help us draw with Seagate Restoration and Selendi Vision. Each of these can be played as a land or cast as their spell side, generating us some card advantage. Controlling the game space is going to be crucial in this deck, though we will focus a little bit more on our own board. Let's start with removal pieces. Vandal Blast, Reality Shift, and Scour from Existence will each help us remove important threats from across the board. As far as counterspells go, we're going to stick with Spellburst, Narset's Reversal, and Unwind. Each of these has a special added utility with Vadric. The buyback cost can be evaded, the Reversal can also double up a win con, and Unwind can untap more lands than it will utilize. Blasphemous Act and Chandra's Ignition can each wipe the board and clear the slate for elongated play. The Ignition can even be a win con if we play our cards right. Capsize will also do quite well in this deck, as our cost reduction can also apply to the buyback cost, letting us bounce a permanent and buy it back, all for only blue. We will also transition into our self-control spells with two other buyback costs, Mystic Speculation and Seething Anger. The Speculation allows us to scry, which is not card advantage, but it is card selection. And the Anger lets us buff our commander by plus 3/3 for each red mana we have available to spend on this spell. These can also be cast over and over again, generating value whenever we need it. Related to Seething Anger, we can also increase our commander's power using spells to further reduce the cost of our other spells. Balduvian Rage, Enrage, and Lunar's Frenzy will each allow us to essentially double our commander's power for a red mana, since he makes them cost X less to cast based on his power. Unleash Fury and Rush of Blood can do the same, and Fists of Fury can join us in this fun as long as we slide an X-based draw spell into the mix. Chain a few of these cards together, and Vadric can grow to exponential heights. To assist us in this feat, we can always use some extra turns for setup, like the ones gained through Expropriate and Time Stretch. Before we get into the closers, there are 3 equipment that I'd really like to point out: Blackblade Reforged, Imperial Plate, and Runechanter's Pike. Each of these will provide a massive static boon to Vadric's power, allowing us to spiral out of control. Closing out the game will be as easy as 1, 2, 3. We have a few permanents that create tokens when we cast instant and sorcery spells, with Murmuring Mystic, Talrand Sky Summoner, Dika Fractal Theorist, Metallurgic Summonings, and Shark Typhoon. These tokens can eventually overrun a table, especially the ones that reflect the mana value of the triggering spell. Thousand Year Storm can help us to close out the game much quicker, copying each of our spells for each other spell cast before it in a turn. Once Vadric's power is well over 9,000, over our opponent's life totals, we can cast any of the following for a win: Jaya's Immolating Inferno, Crackle with Power, or Comet Storm. If we aren't quite to the right amount of spell discount, we can always copy them a few times with Reiterate, another buyback cost. Lastly, if these all are not an option, we can turn our X-based draw spells into a victory through Laboratory Maniac. The lands in this deck will focus on color fixing, with the exception of 2 utility lands that have gone unmentioned thus far. Reliquary Tower and Riptide Laboratory will each provide us some needed value, protecting our hand and protecting Vadric. Our color fixing lands will include Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Cascade Bluffs, Frostbite Snarl, Izzet Boilerworks, Sheevan Reef, Steam Vents, Sulphur Falls, Temple of Epiphany, and Training Center, leaving us room for 11 islands and 8 mountains. That about wraps it up for this deck tech. I hope you enjoyed the video. You'll find the link to the full deck list on arcadeck.com in the description, complete with a maybe board. Let me know in the comments below if you would take this deck in a different direction, or if there are any key includes that I missed. Cheers, and happy casting!
If you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit that like button, and also share it with your friends. If you want to see more videos like these, or hear me ramble about how to navigate this Magic multiverse, go ahead and click that subscribe button to stay up to date on the latest from me, Doyle Prime, and the happenings throughout Magic the Gathering. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you all next video.